Welcome to the Cloud9 market update as of the beginning of quarter one 2026. I'm hosting because he's the guy that has to answer the questions.
Oh, no.
So I'll be asking all the questions today.
2026? How did that happen?
I know. We're going to change these market updates for everybody's sake to quarterly.
Great.
Rather than monthly.
Yeah.
Because what we've realized is that it sounds like we're saying, or you're saying the same thing over and over again.
Well, not enough happens on a month-to-month basis, does it, that changes anything. So I think quarterly is more reflective of the market. It's not going to bore people to death, hopefully. And there's more chance of things happening.
Yeah, and if something big happens in between market updates, we'll just do a video
about that. Then we'll do an
that.
emergency market update.
Yeah, we'll just do a video about that thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this one should give a bit of a more macro view, which will be more useful for people to kind of say, okay, this is where it's heading.
Yeah.
So on that note, 2025 has finished.
Yes.
We don't have official stats for the whole year yet because they take forever to come out. How was the year for you?
Pretty good. I've got to say, it had the danger of maybe being a year of two halves. And by that, I mean the first half of the year was excellent and was a continuation of the very strong performance from 2024, which was historically our best year ever in terms of transaction volume and revenue. What we didn't expect and what kind of put us off kilter a little bit was the dip that we had in quarter three, which was exacerbated by a really quite weak August. Now, August traditionally, 20 odd years ago, 25 years ago when I started, was always weak. Because you could never rely on the quality of the clients because they would often be people from the beach, people on holiday, just fancied a day out looking at properties. What we got used to and spoilt by, I think, was since COVID, it was just busy all year, and August included. So you got this amazingly high quality level of clients from January to December and no gaps. And this year it felt that we just reverted to the old ways of August being a little bit of a waste of time. It picked up again after August, and we finished the year quite strongly. But that kind of dented things a little bit in that quarter three.
Transactions, similar volume, lower, more?
Slightly lower than 2024, but our average deal value was up.
That's something you've been saying for about 3 or 4 years, isn't it? So is that just the trend, the macro trend for Cloud9 then? Because we have to kind of separate what's a Cloud9 thing and what's a market thing.
That's
right?
it.
The viewers want to know what's happening in the market, not what's happening
I think
specifically in one company.
we've pushed our focus upwards a little bit in terms of budgets. And I'll be honest with you, it's a commercial decision. The more money people spend on a property, the more commission we are likely to earn. So there's natural reasons for that. But I think also the market has pushed itself up as well.
Knowing what I know, I think there's probably some notable for Cloud9 before we go into the broader market stats that will tell you what the picture is everywhere. But for Cloud9, I would say, is it the geographic spread of where your sales have happened in the last 12 months or so?
Yeah.
That probably has changed a little bit, no, from what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it has. So if we look at since COVID, so I think it's 2022, 23, and 24, and now looking at 25, we were scattered all over the place. I think 2 years ago, we took on the office at Montemayor, which was a strategic thing we wanted to do. It gave us a presence in a little micro market, which is always very handy, particularly if the market turns down a little bit. So we're very happy we did that. But in 2025, we did a lot of deals in Montemayor. We also did a lot of deals on the New Golden Mile. So when I looked at the stats at the end of the year, we weren't as widespread as we had been in previous years, which was a little bit concerning for me. Obviously, we were really happy at the impact we'd had in Montemayor because I think we'd quadrupled our sales in that area in 2025 as opposed to the first year we were there in 24. So we're really happy with that, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that the majority of our business should be elsewhere.
Do you know if the transactions that took place in Montemayor replaced what would have been a transaction elsewhere because your focus has been visibly more in Montemayor? Or is it just that it would have been a quieter year and Montemayor actually propped up the overall performance?
Do you know what? It's really difficult to assess. I think possibly the latter, which raises a concern for me because I'm then thinking, okay, are we losing market share in other areas? which could be the case. I think also the market has contracted a little bit in terms of demand. So there's less food on the table for everybody, which I'm sure we'll come on to. So I think it's a few little forces at play which has delivered this. I mean, ultimately, we're very happy. You know, our performance has been very strong. It's our second best year ever. So yeah, 2024 was the top one, but 25 wasn't far behind. And as I say, our average spend was up, and our average commission was also slightly increased as well. So it was a good year. It was a very solid, a very good year.
How much of that is being your relatively more recent emphasis on having some listings of your own because of the Monte Mayor factor?
That's helped, you know, for sure. And we're not the sort of business that's ever going to have 200, 300 listings because we don't want to list for the sake of vanity. And we're also very realistic valuers. We aren't going to go out there and say to someone, this house is amazing, it's worth 3 million euros, when we know really it'll sell for 2. We're not going to do that because A, we don't want to waste our time, we don't want to waste the time of buyers and sellers. And lots of agents do follow that path and will list on that basis. And I understand why, because they get the listing, they get control of the listing, and they can always discount it later. We don't want to do that. So we will always be a company that maybe has 20, 30 listings max, but there'll be properties that are priced correctly and that we believe we can sell. And that's a strategy moving forward, in that we want the quality of the listings to be better, and we want to go out and attack areas that we're very, very confident we can sell in. And we're doing that. That's part of the ongoing strategy into 26, really.
For sellers, which I think the biggest gripe that I've heard from other experienced agencies, successful agencies with good, strong reputations and established here on the coast, in Marbella particularly, the biggest gripe I've heard over the last 2 or 3 years related to this big influx of new agencies, beyond things like unprofessionalism or not knowing what they're talking about, is very much linked to pricing. That the kind of like the biggest, least visible, but the biggest threat potentially for the market is listings, incorrectly priced listings, given a false idea of what the market is, things sitting on the market for too long, having this knock-on effect with buyers, sellers having this idea that it's more of a seller's market than maybe it really is, etc. And it does seem to be something that as a buyer you wouldn't necessarily know that that's what's happening behind the scenes. But it does seem to be, if I ask 8 out of 10 experienced agencies, that probably is their biggest gripe. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I think it's a threat to the industry. And I think there's always this disparity, isn't there? I think vendors are always behind the curve and buyers dictate the market, really. Buyers will name their price. Vendors can name their price, but without the buyer agreeing to it, there is no transaction. So I think vendors are, or not every vendor, but some vendors are stuck in the past and they're being guided into the past by their agent with the overvaluation. The buyers are here and the vendors are here, and the buyers are saying, we ain't going to pay that. You know, so at the moment we've got that little, and it's a bit clunky. There is a gap, and it's a bit clunky. But you've got to, you know, and there's two sides of dealing with this. The first one is the valuation. You know, we need more agents to be more considered and more professional and more accurate with their valuations, because agents know what's around the corner. Agents are the pulse of the market, really. We know how many inquiries are coming through, the intent of buyers. We're on the pulse with that. The vendors aren't and buyers aren't. So we should be dictating the market. We should be going into value properties and saying, look, the market isn't quite as strong as it was 24, 23, 22. So we need to price accordingly. Not going in there saying, this is a lovely villa, it's worth 3 million. You know, and I still get the feeling that some agents out there are just picking numbers out of a hat with no real basis for their valuations.
Do you think that will get a little bit better with the new notary data that's available, at least at postcode level? Because there's something that's a piece of news since the last market update, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that will help. I think also the buyer market is becoming a lot more researched. I mean, I'm a buyer. I'm looking for an opportunity to invest in an investment property. And I'm not buying right now, but I will be buying soon. But I'm just waiting for some of these little options that are available just to come off a little bit from their starting price. And it's happening, you know.
So that's a perfect segue. I think you've fallen into your own trap here, but the perennial question of when's the right time, to buy according to yourself, not yet.
No, depends why you're buying. I'm buying purely for financial reasons. So I've got a chunk of money sitting in my bank. I'm very, very fortunate. And I want to spend it, and I want it to make me 7% a year. And I don't want to overpay.
Does anybody?
No, nobody does. And I'm just, the stuff I'm after, because I'm very particular, because I know the market, I've got my eye on maybe 1% of the stock. And I'm just waiting for an opportunity to come in. And when it gets to the price where I'm interested, I'll go in. And I'll be very aggressive, and I'll be very, right, I want this, and I'm a cash buyer. Here's the cash, ready to deal, bang. If I was buying for lifestyle, so if I was about to retire and I wanted a holiday home in the sun, I wouldn't be so worked up whether I'm 5% above the market or 5% below the market, because it's a bit like playing any market. It's a bit like the stock market. You never invest at the bottom or the top. But if you can get somewhere near when you're selling and buying, then you're doing really well. But I would never say, oh yeah, I've invested at the bottom of the market and I'm selling at the top, because it doesn't happen,
Is the overpricing of some listings in some areas in the Marbella area, is that mostly limited to the ultra prime?
Yes, I would say so. But what happens then is the ultra prime starts listing here instead of here, and then the rest of it starts moving up to close the gap.
Is there a shortage of key ready houses between 1 and 3, 4 million?
There's a shortage of stock in certain categories. There's no doubt about that. There's a shortage of stock in certain budgets as well, because you've got to remember that the market at 15 million is much, much smaller than the market at 1.5 million. So, but there is a shortage. There's a shortage of good quality, well-priced, well-located properties. And it's been the case for a number of years. If you want that townhouse on the Golden Mile for less than €1 million, best of luck. And then when it comes along, you need to buy it because of the shortage of stock. If you wanted that townhouse in Manilva or Duquesa at $500,000, then you probably got more of a choice because it's not as affluent or popular an area.
Are the banks still lending?
Yeah, the banks are very happy to lend. We haven't got a liquidity problem like we had, obviously, the last sort of financial crisis, which was, that was just built on sand, wasn't it? When we look back at it now, it's like, ooh, crikey. Not many of our deals are mortgaged. Our average deal value is about €1 million, but it means that we do deal with more mass market stuff at 300, 400,000. Some of those mid-market deals, they tend to be mortgaged, but certainly at the higher end, less so. So we're not as reliant on mortgage finance as we once were, which means it's a much stronger market. We haven't got any distress in the market in terms of distressed sellers. And if there were some sort of recession, we haven't got a lot of money that's being owed. So the market fundamentals are very strong, much, much stronger than they were. Because people, of course, they come to us and say, oh, the market's been so strong since COVID, surely it's going to go pop. And there are headwinds that we're facing, of course there are, but there's a lot of tailwinds because people still want to be here from all over the world. And the one thing that we've noticed in 2025 is just how geographically spread our buyers are. They are from literally every country on the planet, which amazes me. And I know that we have an English language website, and we're probably a bit too English because we've got a lot of Eastern Europeans buying. We've got people from the Middle East. We've got people from South America. We've got your typical kind of hardcore Eurozone buyers, which is kind of the backbone of the demand. But we need to recruit more probably Eastern European speakers and stuff like that, because I think that's where a lot of the demand is going to come from this year.
Taking the year as a whole, so macro, not quarter on quarter, but anything noticeable to do with the nationalities from Cloud9's perspective that's changed, or is it more of the same?
I'm always amazed by the resilience of the UK market. It keeps getting absolutely punched and ends up on the canvas. If you look at the boxing analogy, it just keeps rebounding. It's like nothing can stop them. And I think it's this traditional love affair with southern Spain that the UK has. I was in the UK last week, wet, miserable. I'm not saying the Costa del Sol is never wet and miserable. It has been recently, but and everyone I speak to in the UK is kind of a bit fed up and a bit, what's going on with our country? And look, I love the UK. I'm British, and I love the summers in London and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of people that I speak to would love to get out. So there's still this yearning for a better quality of life. And the UK, we'll look at the demographic figures shortly, but the UK is still bouncing along at number one, isn't it, in most areas? And
and nationally even, as in, I mean, there has been a big dip. If you took, say, 2008, it was at 38% of all transactions for foreigners in Spain were Brits. Now it's near 8 or 9%.
Yeah.
But that's nationally. If you take it more regionally and then provincially, and then
it's in the teens, isn't it?
When you start looking, now that we have access to much more nationality stuff on a municipal level, like on a town level, then there's some interesting stats have come from that, haven't they?
Absolutely.
What would you say, what stands out? So we should have a look at some of the...
Yeah, if we start with Malaga, the province of Malaga. So that is pretty much the whole of the Costa del Sol that we deal with, and this is looking at all property types and all construction types. So villas, townhouses, apartments.
And these are transactions until when? Is it October?
So this is the last... Unfortunately, the data that we have runs out at the end of October, just gone. So we're about 3 months lag behind. So we're looking at the 12-month period before that. So from November 24 to October 25. And the average price per square metre is 2,800 per square metre.
Did it say if it's gone up?
Yeah, so...
Because that's what everybody wants to know, really, isn't it? It is. What's happened to the prices beyond an agent?
Prices in Malaga province in that 12-month period was up by 5.7%.
I would like to refer back to my forecast last year of 5%.
Did you say 5%?
You're welcome.
Well done.
So pay attention to this year's forecast. Okay, so prices in Malaga province, Costa del Sol, and some of the inland town, 5.7%. Okay.
And that's interesting because 2024 they were up 13%. So it's almost... That's why I think people are saying it's just cooling. Now it's cooling in a really nice way because it's not in recession. We're not going backwards. Yeah, prices are still rising.
But it's above inflation.
Above inflation, but they're not rising to the extent of the 3-4 previous years because they were immediately after COVID. 2021, 12%, then it was 7.4%, 6.9%, and then 13%.
So staying on prices for a second. Yeah. You have some of the other main towns, haven't you? How have the other towns fared in the last 12 months, prices-wise? You got, is that Marbella we're looking at?
This is Marbella. So Marbella municipality, interestingly, up in the last 12 months by the same amount, 5.6%. So 0.1% off. Okay. So that's interesting. And again, 2 years before that were much stronger growth. 2023 was nearly 12% and 2024 was 12.5%. So again, it's come off.
And these are based, just for the viewers that don't know what notary data means, this is based on notarized transactions.
This is not guesswork.
This is not asking prices on a property portal or sort of super historic information. I suppose the only caveat to put in there is that normally the off-plan transaction, it's you would consider that you've bought it or sold it, and then maybe the delivery is 18 months later. So that gets notarized a little bit later.
Yeah, that's always a lag because I count revenue at the point of reservation, and then I take it out if a deal collapses. But obviously the notaries only count.
So notary is probably what is the most up-to-date data that we have available to us, because even the land registry data that comes out every quarter, that there's a lag of an additional month-ish between something getting, it's because to do with the order of things. Things get notarized, then they go to the land registry about a month or two later. Yeah. So there may be a lag of a month between things getting notarized and you see in the report, but there's a bigger lag with the land registry.
We've never had this data. This is like gold dust to us.
So back to prices then. What we got?
So just interestingly on Marbella, the average price. Guess what the average price was?
I would say the average price was 750,000.
Oh, do you know what? You just looked at that.
I haven't. I promise you. I have not.
Okay. Well, you're not right. It's 715.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty high.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Pretty high. So if we look at Mijas, average sale price is 356,000. So it's a different market. It's half the price.
And that's doing about 3,000 transactions a year, isn't it?
Yeah, 3,300. You definitely looked at this.
Well, I have good memory.
But the price change is the same as the others. So same as Malaga, same as Marbella, 5.7% up.
Wow, okay. That's
but
super consistent.
In 2024, it was up by nearly 22%.
Wow, okay, that's huge.
And in 2023, it was down by 0.16%.
What about Estepona, which is the hot zone that everyone's talking about?
Well, hang on a minute. Estepona, here we go. Here we go. Ooh. So average sale price, 400,000.
So a bit more than Mijas,
Yeah,
less than
but
Marbella.
same amount of sales, 3,500. And the price change in Estepona in the last year has been 7.13%. So it's higher than the others. So it's true what we've been saying, that Estepona is the kind of like the new kid on the block, but gaining popularity and traction. Interestingly, 2023, it was up 16%. 2024, up nearly 13%. So again, it's come down, but it's still moving.
Yes, it's a slower rate of increase, but the
Exactly.
prices are not coming down.
And
I
that's
think
what we as agents and we as buyers want. We want steady growth. We don't really want double-digit growth per year, because if you have too many years of that, it can create a bubble. So you've got to be careful.
We've got one left, Benavides.
Benavides, my favourite. Benavides is going to be lower transaction volume. It's 722 transactions.
Average transaction, $1 million.
900.
Oof.
Not far off.
What's happened to the prices there then?
Prices are at 4.29%.
Okay.
So
I
just a little softer.
I suppose you get a little bit more volatility with much lower transaction
Yeah,
numbers, don't you? So
exactly.
You probably have less to read into those prices.
And interestingly, 2024, it was up just over 3%. So again, soft.
Mm-hmm.
But 2023 was up 16%.
Yeah,
So
okay.
but I think that's what you said, is that because the transaction volumes are lower, it distorts the figures slightly.
Okay, so now as we have your bits of pieces out. Some of the stuff I think is quite fascinating, and I don't know if viewers find this useful, maybe for just understanding what the market's like in those areas. But Benavides, what percentage of transactions are to foreigners?
Go on. What do you think?
I think 85%.
Oh, get off 83.
Okay. So that's huge, isn't
That's
it? As
huge.
in, yes, we know there's a lot of foreigners, but 8.3 out of 10 transactions in the last 12 months in Benavides have been to foreign buyers. But it also tells you what those nationalities are, doesn't it?
The thing is, when you compare that 83% or whatever it was to Malaga province as a whole, where the percentage of foreign buyers is 43.
It's still high for Malaga when you bear
It's
in
still
mind
high for Malaga.
the province has all those little villages and things
Yeah.
sort of inland.
But Benavides is.
But Benavides, it's foreign.
So who's
foreign.
buying? So let's do it in top 5.
Yeah.
In number 5 is, well, actually,
Is a joint.
no.
Three.
No. So, right, this is taking out the others. So the others
Yeah.
are little ones that
Okay.
accumulate and make actually the biggest
The Brits
proportion.
have to be in the top 5, right?
The Brits are there.
Okay.
But where are they?
First.
Yeah. So this is in Benavides.
Okay, Benavides.
So Benavides, they represent 18% of foreign buyers.
Okay.
Then we've got Sweden at 9.5%, then Belgium at 9%, then Netherlands at 8%, and Germany at 8%.
Okay.
And then others at 48%. So this is what I mean.
Very spread.
Wow. I mean, if you can imagine, 48% of the foreign buyers are not represented by those nationalities.
By the
So
top
they're,
five, yeah.
what, Americans, Polish,
all sorts.
who knows, but little bits of lots of different places.
Estepona I thought was interesting. The language, the top 5.
So 70% of foreign buyers.
So
Not as many as Benavides, but still very, very high proportion of buyers of foreign. Interestingly, the UK is not number 1.
Dutch,
Yes.
Netherlands.
Yeah, by quite a distance. So the Dutch are 16%, the UK 13%. Poland make an appearance here at a very strong 8.5%. Belgium 6%, Sweden 6%. So the Netherlands, UK, Belgium and Sweden are pretty consistent. Germany was in the top 5 in Benavides, and Poland is in the top 5 in Estepona.
Nationally, the emergent foreign nationality this year has been the buyers from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Previous years, maybe last year was the Poles.
Yeah.
Year before that was the emergence of the Americans, which continue, but they're not sort of gone through the roof or anything. But the Netherlands really is the take. And in the whole of the province of Alicante, where the Costa Blanca is, the Netherlands is number 1, overtaking the Brits, and the Belgians are number 3. So between the Belgians and the Netherlands, they take up 2 of the top 3 spots.
Interesting. Let's have a quick look at Mijas. So in Mijas, 66%, so 2/3 are foreign buyers. And there, the UK is way ahead. Number 1 at 20% of the 20% share of that foreign market. Then you've got Netherlands at 10, Poland at 6, Sweden at 6, and Germany at 6. So, but the UK, they've always loved Mijas Costa, haven't they? You know, it's a home from home for a lot of them.
Although we don't have the figures here, I did look at them, and The surprising part for me was that on what you would consider, well, I would consider the original old school Costa del Sol of Torremolinos, Benalmádena, and Fuengirola, you'd expect the Brits to be the major dominant force. They're not.
No.
I can't remember which ones are, but it's like Italians and Argentinians and Danish people.
Yeah.
It really is that the Brits is a noticeable shift. And I think it's probably shifted from there to Mijas Costa or anything. I think Estepona, they're also strong. They're not as strong as the Dutch, but yeah, okay. So this is super interesting because this will allow us to then see what's changing. If you're looking to buy, we also have access to data down to postcode level. And that in a place like Marbella in this area, it makes a difference because the buyers in Marbella town center versus Golden Mile or somewhere else is different. And I think the Benahavis Swedish element is probably just the natural geographic extension from Nova Andalusia. They've run out of properties to buy there, and then like Inta and all that sort of area around
But
there.
don't you think if you're a buyer, to know this stuff is really good. It's really important. Not only to know who your neighbours are going to be, but also where the trends are. And for agents, this is super, super important. You need to know this stuff as an agent. This for us is absolutely invaluable because we have a gut feel, but it's always been just that. We can't prove anything, but now we can say to people, look, like for instance, Marbella, 62% of buyers are foreign. The UK, is number one again, 13%. Sweden 9%, Netherlands 8%, Germany 6%, and Poland 5%. So, it's really valuable educational information. And if you're an agent, you need to understand, like you said, with the different postcodes, you need to understand the different micro markets, not only the demographics of people who are buying, but also, where they're ending up, those micro markets on the ground.
I mean, I know here probably more so than in many places, the prices of a property, from one development next door to that could be double quite easily. Yeah. So the average prices, even by postcode level, isn't good enough. What we were all hoping for when the Notary said that they were releasing actual prices is that they would be releasing something that you have in other countries where you can see house by house.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can say, this house, this is the history.
Yeah.
Until that happens, there's still a lot in the hands of the agents.
Yep.
But at least now buyers can be in a position to be saying, what's the average for this postcode?
Exactly.
And why is it? Why is this property so much more?
Exactly.
Because until that point, what you had was asking prices on portals and then the agent's word. And there was not much else.
So I think it is going to take away that. Let's pick a price out of a hat. I think
you should at least ask, why is this double the average for this municipality?
Yeah, and it's a great question to ask.
Okay.
And very often there's an answer
sure.
that backs it up. But it's a great question to ask, and this is why buyers should be aware of this stuff. Just to finish off on the whole of Malaga, did we do that? 43% are foreign buyers.
You did that, but you didn't say which nationality.
Okay, so UK. So this is the whole of the Malaga province. UK 14.5%, Netherlands 11%, very strong. Sweden 7%, Germany 6%, Poland 6%. Gosh, Poland. For what was traditionally a silent market, to be in the top 5 of buyer demographics in Malaga province, that's some achievement.
And I've studied all of the sort of tourist resorts, the coasts and the islands in Spain over the last couple of years, and last year particularly, the polls really stood out as they appeared like in the top 5s everywhere, if you like.
Yeah.
And it was only 3-4 years ago when everybody was saying, I hear the Poles are buying. Is that true? So they are definitely a new kids on the block over here.
What's the average age of buyers in Malaga?
Malaga province?
Yeah.
48.
50.
Okay.
Which, again, is interesting. So this is pretty consistent across the board. 50 in Malaga, and then if we...
Gets older, doesn't it?
52 in Benavis, all the oldies like me. Estepona, 49, which is interesting, slightly younger. Mijas, 51, and Marbella, 52. So it's pretty
it's
consistent.
an average. So you could say, if you were to say what was the average buyer, then you would say, mid to late 50s, typically.
Yeah.
There's plenty of actual stories of 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds buying here. So that's just an average, But the thing that on an average basis, the one thing these stats have told us is that it's not full of teenagers buying.
No, it's not.
The
interesting thing is
people our age.
the average so in the whole of Malaga, buyers under 31 years old, just 6.7%, and it's lower in some of the municipalities.
A lot of those will be in Malaga City and the more Spanish areas.
As you get to Benavis, where the property prices are higher, there's not as many as that.
One thing that surprised me was how many Spanish people buy in Marbella.
Yeah.
It sounds silly to say that because
I know,
it's like 37% are Spanish, but
actually,
I would have thought less because most agencies that I know sell to like 10% of their sales.
Yeah,
are,
we don't.
if any.
We don't sell to many Spanish. Interestingly, there's the sweet spot, if you like, is between 41 and 60 years old, because that accounts, in all the cases, accounts for about 50% of the buyers.
That also makes sense.
It does, and then the rest is.
I would go as far as saying that is, in my opinion, the age group that is responsible for the emergence of relocators.
Yeah.
So I think it's a new layer. It's not a replacement.
Yeah.
That's why the market has grown, in my opinion.
Very much.
But I think that the fact that the agents are saying the buyers are getting younger, combined with the fact that agents saying there's more people relocating, I think are one and the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we have a new market, if you like, of, like you said, 40-year-olds, 30s, 40s, 50s, buying and relocating here, and that should bring the age down, and it hasn't, which means that there's still a lot of oldies getting retirement houses, right?
It's interesting because the 31 to 40 years old age gap, age band, 22%. So it's still quite a lot of people, and that's great because they're the young families or the digital nomads, but they're in the 30s, they're probably quite solvent. And they're bringing kids over and starting life with a family here, and that, like you said, that's your lifestyle relocator, and that's a healthy percentage, 22%. So you're looking at nearly a quarter in that category, and then half are probably a little bit further on in their lives, maybe approaching retirement, or certainly at the top of their game professionally. So it's a good mix.
Yeah. So sort of finishing off a little bit on this, 2025 for Cloud9 was good.
Yeah.
Transactional figures for what we can see, at least from Malaga province, the prices went up by 5-6%, which is kind of what we thought it would be. There's no crystal ball for this year. Would it be fair to say this year more of the same?
I think so. I was going to say more of the same. I think there's going to be a lot of buyers in the market again, because I think there's still that demand from people who want a better life. And I think Marbella, particularly, and its surrounding areas, has really put itself on the map now. You know, it's become the California of Europe. It's got so many things going for it, and it's 2.5, 3 hours away from home for a lot of people. So it's got a huge amount of things going for it. Obviously, what's against us is it's not quite as easy to move here as it once was, particularly for the Brits and the Americans. So you have to kind of think a little bit outside the box sometimes and get some good advice, but it's not impossible. So there's a few little factors that would put people off, but there's so many things in its favour. So I think we're going to see more of the same. I think we're going to see buyers who are a bit more savvy, who won't overpay because they feel that the market is just softening. The market isn't in decline. It's not in recession by any means. You've seen the prices. They're up year on year by nearly 6% in most cases. That's really healthy. So the buyers who are coming along and wanting 30% discounts are not going to get them. And they're going to be wasting time. They're going to be wasting their own time, everybody else's time. But there might be a little bit of wriggle room for a lot of people. Vendors need to wise up to this, that they aren't going to be able to command the premium prices that they've set, before. And they've got to be careful that they price correctly so that they avoid their listing looking stale. Because you know what it's like, agents soon get bored of seeing the same swimming pool, and that one's been on the market for 2 years. And I think actually, if you're looking for any pain in the market, if you're looking for, oh my God, who's going to suffer, it won't be the buyers, it won't be the sellers, it'll be the agents. Because again, I think we're dealing with a smaller pool of buyers, great quality, and there's plenty of them. But I think it's just going to be a smaller amount, and that means that the 2,500 agents, or however many it is now, are not going to have as much food on the table for each of them. And we're going to see some casualties. But I've been saying that for 2 years, haven't I?
Yeah. I think that's the point of doing these quarterly rather than monthly. Because, the at the time when you were saying expecting this to happen, I think that's happened. There has been pain in the market.
Yeah.
Not everybody's had a good year in 2025. No. I think from an empathetic point of view for other agencies, it has been a tough year for many. And it just depends a lot on what nationalities they're dealing with, where they're getting their inquiries from, a whole bunch of other factors. A lot of the new agencies that came in strong after COVID, surfing the wave, have had a little bit of a cold shower, I think, of like, okay, so this is what it is. And I think in many ways it's returned to 2019. This is how it was. It wasn't that easy then. It was that easy, everybody would do it.
I'm getting phone calls and approaches from real estate agents who have been used to doing maybe 2 deals a month, in the post-COVID years. They're now doing no deals a month. And there's only so long you can survive, particularly if you're on commission only. So I think we're going to see a consolidation of the market. I think we're going to lose some of the smaller, undercapitalized agencies, and we'll see the good people either setting up on their own and trying it, or joining, which I think is going to happen more, joining, bolting themselves onto established, well-run companies. So I think we're going to see fewer agencies, but the top agents themselves are going to end up moving. There's a lot of activity already, and it's not just a January kind of, that's new year, new career thing. No, it's a market move.
So a year of consolidation in terms of the agent thing. There's one other thing for that this affects buyers indirectly, is there was news just before Christmas of a new licensing requirement for registration for agents.
Yes,
which there isn't currently.
Yeah,
and one of the perils for buyers is that Pepe the gardener, or the guy that just arrived in a plane the day before them, or could be advising them on a multi-billion-euro purchase, and do.
Yeah,
and that isn't anybody's fault. You can't be held to blame for something that doesn't exist. Well, they are bringing it in. There's a lot of details still to be revealed. They have a 2-year period to implement it. But what that should do, from a buyer perspective, is that that should just the fact that is coming and it's official, it should slow down the influx of wishful thinkers that are not taking this seriously. They're not really doing the homework. They're not trying to learn from an agent point of view. Yeah. So one would argue that should improve the quality of the service that buyers will get.
Yep.
And fewer cowboys, hopefully, over the next 24 months.
Yep.
I think that's a good sign for you as an agent, but for the market, for sellers. Should provide improve on selling prices. It should improve in terms of the advice they're receiving. So even though that's not something that a buyer will be thinking,
they should.
They should be thinking, okay, it really right now, until that's the case.
Yeah.
You have to be super careful about who you choose as an agent.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't mean they're new, that they're bad, and if they're been around for a while, they're good. Not at all. It's much more complicated than that.
Oh yeah.
But,
I started in my second bedroom.
Yeah. Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah, they do.
I think that's not the issue. The issue is that the barrier to entry is so low. You have everybody that from those who take it incredibly seriously and do the homework and are actually providing good advice.
There are so many bad ones
to those who don't know what the hell they don't know what they have the time. Where's the golden mile?
We deal with agents on a daily basis, obviously, and some are fantastic, some are absolutely useless, and you think, God help the client.
But the problem is that the client, every agent says that they're the ones that they should select.
We're the
that
best.
We offer this A to Z service. We offer the great advice. We're the best. We've been here. Everybody's been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
Because I think they just add up. The staff that they have or something.
Well, my advice to people is, and I've said this for 6 months now, is whichever agent you choose, make sure they're a member of the LPA. And with the LPA, you have to be invited in. You can't just go, I'm a member of the LPA, bang, here's my stamp. You have to be invited in, you have to be vetted, you have to be recommended. And there's only 110, 120 of us.
Agencies.
So it's
probably about 1,000 agents.
Probably, yeah. So my advice is, whoever you're dealing with, make sure it's one of them. And if it's not, ask yourself why.
I would take this further.
Yeah.
And I would say of an association. Because there's other associations.
Yes, there are.
There's Gipe, there's a few others.
Yeah.
The value of being in an association such as the LPA, or have an agent, isn't the guarantee that you're going to get professional service.
No,
it means that you have recourse if you don't.
Yeah. There's a degree of policing.
There's a degree of policing, and there's a degree of there's a code of ethics they need to fulfill.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they will, but if they don't, there's somebody you can complain to.
Exactly. So it holds the agent to account to a degree. So that is really important. So that's the first step. And then in 2 years' time, when we've all hopefully passed our exams and got our qualifications to be regulated real estate agents, make sure they're registered real estate agents. We can't do it at the moment, but in 2 years' time, they need to be a member of. And I'm talking about the LPA because it's an association I'm involved in, and I'm on the ethics committee. God help us. But if they're LPA registered or similar, and then in 2 years' time, if they've got their registration, good. Yeah. Not a lot can go wrong. You might still get crummy advice, but at least
it's raised the bar.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we desperately need that in this industry, because there are so many. You're out on tour with clients who are being looked after by these agents, and you're so tempted to say to the client, "What are you doing? What are you doing with him or her?" And it's like, but you can't.
But it's difficult. It's difficult from a buyer. 'Cause like I say, all agents say they're the ones to trust. So you got to do your homework. I think that's the thing. And then you got to do your homework and be careful.
Yeah. You need the right team. You need the right estate agent. You need the right lawyer. It's a team thing.
Yeah.
And get your ducks in a row and do it before you come out here. Don't come out here hoping to spend €1 million and start knocking on doors. That's not the way to do it.
No, it's not. Well, I think that's it. No? I think we've exhausted all energy. So the next one will be in the next quarter.
Great.
And we'll probably be bringing in maybe a lawyer or a mortgage broker or somebody like that if there's anything major that's happened in that side of things.
And who knows? There might well be a few little things sent our way in the next quarter that will affect the market positively.
So finally,
yes.
Would you like to just write a number of what you forecast 2026 Malaga province as according to notaries for January next year, so that it will be the figures up until October. So it's like for like.
I'll watch Shane the Pen doesn't want.
What is the property prices for Malaga province?
So like a plus or minus percentage. Shall I show it to you or shall I keep it?
I think we should show the camera. Okay. No, I think we should do it. So I don't know if you can see this, but he writes 3.5. I'll go with 5% again, just because I'm boring.
Okay, all right.
Optimist, and I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, I just think we're going to see a slight cooling off. That's what I'm seeing with some of the pricing. Is it's cooling off slightly, and I think that will be translated into final figures.
The reason I'm saying it is because there's a delay in the new developments getting registered.
Yeah,
so I think
you might have me on that.
So all those Estepona things, I mean, selling for like $500,000 that were used to be 350, will start hitting the stats.
Okay, so next year. If we're going to go for a range, we'll say between 3.5 and 5.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, and I think that'll be healthy. Yeah,
no, for sure. You don't want it to be.
I'll be happy. You'll be happy.
Yeah, but the main thing is we don't think it's going to go down.
God no. No.
On that note, thank you, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And it's still recording.
Hey!